Please be seated. Good afternoon. My name is Jennifer Broadbent and it's my privilege to lead this service today as we gather to celebrate the life of Donald Malcolm Nicolson, perhaps known to you as Dad, Don, Duck, Nico or Grandpa. The event of Don's passing unites us in a way that no other human experience can. It reminds us of the fragility of life and the unique manner in which some individuals cross our pathways, and this encourages us to pause momentarily and reflect on our own personal journey. We have come together because you cared for Don, and he was a special and important part of your lives. You have gathered today to offer your respect and support for the life of a man who was enormously admired by his family and friends. Your presence here is a follow-through of the influence and memories he left engraved on your heart. We are gathered here, therefore united, in a final act of reverence to celebrate his life, to honour his name, and to be grateful that he lived and walked in our world. And of course, today gives you the opportunity to say goodbye. Don is deserving of recognition. It is the final milestone in his life. We are gathered here believing that all human life is valuable, and in acknowledging that truth, his integrity and strength that was so much a part of Don will endure. Don's life was lived in all its uniqueness. Therefore, death should not be looked upon as tragic, rather as a transition from one life to another for the soul within us all. We should also feel happy to have shared moments that brought joy, laughter, humour and wisdom. Don was a kind, considerate, ethical man who worked hard to provide for his family. He was a man who believed that if there was a right way to do something, then that was the way it should be done. Don was an intelligent, selfless man who was always on hand to help others. Don's achievements and work ethic were governed by principles of honesty, total effort, and the giving of heart, mind and spirit. These are guidelines to follow if you want to succeed and be the very best that you can. Don understood the reality of working life, working well into his 80s, and perhaps more importantly, he added value to everything he did, his work, the community, family and friends. Nothing can erase the depth of experience that Don faced. Nothing can detract from all he endured. It remains sacred and secure. His influence, however, endures in the consequences which flowed from his character and his deeds. Nothing can affect the happiness and joy of life that Don knew, and nothing can change your love for him or his love for you. It can never be altered by time, circumstance, or even by death. Don enjoyed his life to the fullest, happy as long as Michelle and his children and grandchildren were happy, and his beloved cats were winning, and it would help too if Collingwood was losing. I'm sure all the Magpie supporters here today know how much Nico hated Collingwood. Today, as we celebrate his life and make him present with us, we bring images of a man who has touched our lives, images of his face, his laughter, his wicked sense of humour, images of him at the football and bowls clubs, at his home and at family gatherings. These we bring into our common gathering that the pain of losing him may be eased by the balm of love and memory. With gratitude, you have come to honour and remember Don today, that you may grow through an ending and, with memories gathered for the journey, gain strength through the days and weeks ahead without him. Don came to the end of life's road on the 4th of May when illness overcame him, and that became his final journey. Michelle was by his side, just as she has been for the past 30 years of their marriage. I take this opportunity to extend our deepest sympathy to Don's cherished wife, Michelle, to his much-loved children, Andrea and her husband, Jonathan, Rod and his wife, Alice, Shelley, Bobby, Andrew and David, to his adored grandchildren, extended family members and special friends. We have gathered here to lend support and to share in your grief. We also take a moment to remember family members who aren't here with us today, but who are here in the spirit of love and memory, especially Don's son, Don Jr. I'd now like to ask Michelle to come forward, please, who's going to share with us Don's eulogy.
First of all, thank you to everyone who's supported our family in any way over the past 2.5 years as we've battled this bloody terrible disease. We've felt surrounded by love and support, and that has helped to keep us going. Thank you also to our employers, who have all been so very understanding over this time. I'd like to pay special tribute to the Oncology Department at Goulburn Valley Health, and in particular Dr. Arvind Sahu, the most beautiful and caring doctor you could wish to have. And finally to GV Hospice Service, who were amazing and allowed Don to remain at home throughout the last few months. We're truly so lucky to have those services here in the Goulburn Valley. Donald Malcolm Nicolson. Duck, Nico, Donnie. He wouldn't have loved all this fuss, but he would be very pleased to see you all here. I had hoped not to make this eulogy too long, but you can't fit 85 years into 5 minutes. Don didn't give us any clues as to what he wanted today to look like, probably because, as he used to say, only the good die young, so I'm going to live to be at least 100. Well, darling, you nearly got there. He did go so far as to say that he wanted to be here at Pine Lodge and to be buried in a cardboard box. Sorry about the box, Donnie, because nobody needed a new fridge at the moment. This is the end of an era, as Don was the last surviving Nicolson amongst his siblings. Don was born in Hamilton, the 12th and youngest child, the shakings of the flour bag, he used to say, of Annie and Hector Nicolson. He grew up at Penshurst, going to school there and then on to Hamilton for secondary schooling. Don's father Hector was the Penshurst butter factory manager, and apart from Don's first job at the Penshurst hardware store, he followed in his father's footsteps in the dairy industry. He began that journey at Glaxo in Port Fairy in the laboratory, and it was there that he met his first wife, Jan. Growing up in Penshurst, the factory was surrounded by tall cypress trees. Don said that they used to climb those trees and jump from one to the other, all the way around the factory. And yet he was always telling our boys to get down from the top of the silky oaks at our place. He also said that as kids, he and his brothers broke several of the factory's windows with their Shanghai and stones. Don worked at that factory. I think he had to mend some of those windows himself when he was there, after he left Glaxo, first with his oldest brother Max as the manager and then as the manager himself. And he was, at the time, I believe, the youngest factory manager in Victoria. During that time, Don and Jan had 2 children, Andrea and Don. They also took in some young people from Thursday Island who came to Penshurst for 6 weeks each Christmas, which is an early example of Don's community spirit. Later they adopted Shelley and fostered a number of other young people, including Rod, who remained with the family long term, and Georgie, who stayed in contact with Don ever since. The family moved to Swanpool and then to Shepparton, where Don was assistant production manager. He then worked in the transport department. He was well respected by the people who worked under him in both of those positions, as he believed it was important to never ask someone to do something that you wouldn't do yourself, to lead by example. His final form of employment with the company was as a sales and promotions manager, running cash delivery vans, initially throughout the Goulburn Valley and then further afield. He also did a lot of promotions at shows and field days. I think he really found his place in sales. He was good with people and loved getting the company's product into their fridges. Far more effective advertising to have people taste the product than to hear about it, he reckoned. Nico's stall or caravan were always the place to visit at one of those times for his very special coffees. I'm also very certain that caravan had auto steer and GPS, because it always got him home safely, even when there were times that it probably shouldn't have. It was at one of those field days that Don and I met. We married in 1991 and had our 3 boys, Bobby, Andrew and David. Don reckoned they kept him young and credits them with helping to get him through the loss of Goose. He said his ambition in life was to make it to David's 21st birthday, which he did. And we managed 30 wonderful years together, surviving a Geelong St Kilda grand final, which sadly Geelong won, and celebrating our anniversary on the 20th of April this year. Don reached the age of 85 years and for most of that time did not look or necessarily behave like he was that age. When we moved to our home at Cosgrove, we spent most weekends either in the garden or renovating the house. As recently as 2017, Don and I travelled to Central Australia. We bought a double swag and packed the ute with a good esky and camped our way on a 3-week trip up through the centre and back through Western Queensland and New South Wales. Not too many people would be willing to even consider a camping holiday like that, aged 82. Don loved many kinds of sport, particularly football. He made several country league representative sides and coached over many parts of the state. He never played in a senior premiership side in all those years, but he managed to be best on ground in a losing grand final with Hamilton Imperials. Some of you who are here today are here because he coached you as juniors at Shep High or Shep Footy Club. I believe it was his greatest wish when he was at Shep High to beat St Coleman's at a football game. But not even having 19 men on the field on one occasion could make that dream come true for him. Don spent some time on various league tribunals in this area, and I suspect many an umpire's heart sank when they saw Don on the panel. He didn't like trivial reports or poorly presented and inaccurate reporting. But he also hated the blokes who king hit, or in today's terminology, coward punch behind play. Shooting was another thing he loved to do. Preparation for duck opening would start in the early part of the year. The reloader would come out and Don would spend ages reloading cartridges in preparation. Many phone calls were made organising travel arrangements and catering. I don't know how hard it is to organise a heap of meat and onions, basically. A large company's logistics manager couldn't have done a more thorough job. Those duck opening weekends were intergenerational, and as the years passed for Don, became more about the family reunion than the ducks. Again, some of you who are here today have experienced those duck opening weekends with Don, and I'm sure you have very happy memories of them, and you boys were family to Don. Don played cricket at school and golf later in his life. He had a bent iron in his golf bag, which was the result of some frustration with that particular game. He straightened it out as best he could after wrapping it round a tree, but it was never the same. He said he didn't really play tennis, maybe a little socially, but I recall him playing once at Deniliquin with my cousins and my auntie. He was one of those really annoying people that doesn't have a backhand but changes the racket over to make every shot a forehand. For a non-tennis player, he wasn't too bad at that game either. He had a lifelong love of cars, spending many weekends fixing up both his own and other people's cars, and lawnmowers, chainsaws, anything with a motor really. He loved nothing better than to see a Holden win at the car races. He wasn't really a gambler, but at one point was a member of the Bonlac Punters Club. He said he knew nothing about horse racing and always got me to put the bets on. We both thoroughly enjoyed the end-of-year celebrations with the other members of that club and their partners. On weekends that we travelled to Deniliquin to visit my family, if I had school stuff to do, Don would take my nana to the RSL club to play on the pokies. It's no wonder she loved him. Lawn bowls became Don's sport of choice, and he thoroughly enjoyed the friendships that he developed with his teammates at Dookie, and to see his old friends as he played Saturday pennant amongst the other clubs. All of our boys played at one stage, which Don absolutely loved. One thing that he will be remembered for, particularly at the Dookie Bowls Club, is above the bar there's a sign which Don organised as a surprise for Bill Kirkby. It says Grumpy Bill's Bar. Don was someone who believed in giving back. He joined the Dookie Lions Club not long after we moved to Cosgrove. He was secretary of that group for a while, and as the tail twister, made a point of fining almost every member at every meeting for some reason. Some were more legitimate than others. He was always involved in working bees when our boys were at primary school, helping out with coaching them at cricket. He was team manager, timekeeper and player advocate while our boys were involved with the Dookie Football Club. I was speaking to one of Don's past work colleagues this week, and he told me they were at a conference in Melbourne where Don met one of the Sydney bosses. They'd spoken by phone but hadn't ever met. Don shook the bloke's hand, looked down and said, "Well, that's the best bit of shit I've had in my hand for a long time." Don also apparently told a board of directors, possibly at Swanpool, that they should leave the day-to-day running of the factory to him, that he was the factory manager and they were employed to attend board meetings once a month in an advisory capacity only. Both of those things are typical of Don's guiding principles, that you can't be shot down for speaking your mind. And I don't bow or scrape to anyone because they're no better than me and I'm no better than them. Pretty good words to live by, I think. Actually, the notice placed in the Shep News by Contis reminded me another of Don's sayings, that you catch more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. He was a person who had lots of little things that he would say on a regular basis. He lived by those sayings as his guiding principles in life. He didn't just say them to sound good. One of Andrew's mates asked Don recently for some life advice, and his response was this: always do the best that you can. Sometimes it won't be good enough, but more times it will be. Be the best person you can and you'll be fine. Don also used to quote the poet Adam Lindsay Gordon, and again lived by the principles the poet expressed in this verse. Life is full of froth and bubble. Two things stand like stone. Kindness in another's troubles and courage in your own. Don was... Nearly made it to the end without an accident. Don was kind and generous and always willing to help someone out, especially when in the times when others were in trouble. There have been many examples of Don's courage in his own troubles over the years, but the last couple of years in particular have really shown that courage as we faced this terrible battle. He had all the treatments and suffered all the side effects and moved on to try the next thing that would allow him to spend time with his family. Finally, I have to say that Don was always someone who loved a joke and a laugh. I think we almost once got thrown out of a dairy industry conference dinner in Melbourne as they had a comedian as the entertainment. And Don knew all of the jokes and he started laughing before the comedian delivered the punchline. And that laugh was not quiet. The comedian was so angry. I wanted to hide under the table, but Don just kept laughing. So I want to leave you with a reason to smile today. This is one of the first jokes I ever heard Don tell, and he never mucked it up, no matter what state he was in. Forgive my delivery, it's not quite as good as Don's. A bloke walks into the Hilton in Melbourne and he fronts up to the reception counter. He asks if they have a room available. The young girl behind the counter says, "Oh, you're in luck, we have a room for you. I just need some information. Can we start with your name?" "Mac." "First name or last, sir?" "That's all there is, love," he says. "No, there must be more to it. Is it MacDonald or McDougall? What is it?" He says, "Well, to tell the truth, my real name is John Thomas McDangle. When I was a young bloke, the war broke out, so I enlisted and I was sent overseas. They were short of doctors. I was a pretty cluey bloke, so they rushed me through a medical degree and I was John Thomas McDangle, MD. I'd done a bit of bravery and was awarded the VC, so I was then John Thomas McDangle, MD VC. On a weekend leave, went into Paris, caught up with a few of the flossies there and caught the VD. So I was John Thomas McDangle, MD VC VD. Well, after the war, I was practicing medicine and I did a few illegal operations. They took away my doctor's degree, so I was John Thomas McDangle, VC, VD. Then there was an investigation into my bravery award and they decided that I hadn't deserved it. They took it away from me, so I was just John Thomas McDangle, VD. Well, then they found out that I had the VD. They cut off my John Thomas. I had nothing to dangle. So now I'm just plain bloody Mac. I didn't know whether to tell that joke, but I was advised that I should because that was Nico. Thank you.
We've all heard a few of Nico's jokes over the years, and I was fortunate enough to spend some time in that caravan too when he was with Bonlac. So there you go. And I do wonder sometimes how it got home. Now, everybody here today, we all know that Nico liked a bit of a laugh and a joke, so I'm going to open the floor. Is there anyone here today that would like to come forward to share their memories of Don, tell a joke, or just talk about the time that they may have worked with him? No, don't all rush. Come over here.
I'm Darryl McCartan. I was one of Nico's proteges, whether it was good or bad or any different, but the caravan show, I was a fridge van driver. I was a tanker driver for years to Swanpool. And the caravan got home for one reason only, and that was because of me, because I'm a non-drinker. And it made a big lot of difference. Okay, thank you.
Well, there you go, Michelle. The secret's out. Introduce yourself.
Good day, everybody. I'm Joe Pearson, and I was with Nico at Swanpool. Did you know that Nico could sing? We had a Christmas concert organised by the staff of the Swanpool Butter Factory, and Nico could sing as well as any of us, which wasn't very good. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else brave enough to come forward? There will be a wake following this service, so I'm sure if anyone's got something particularly funny that they'd like to share with Michelle or the family, that might give you the perfect opportunity to do so. We're going to pause the service for a few moments now for you to have some time to reflect and think about your relationship with Don. Please use this time to think about the times that you shared with him, perhaps some fun times, maybe some not so fun times. We're going to be listening to the song You've Got a Friend by James Taylor during this time. If any of you would like to, please use this time to say a silent prayer. Thank you.
When you're down and troubled and you need a helping hand, and nothing is going right, close your eyes and think of me, and soon I will be there to brighten up even your darkest night. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running. Oh yeah, babe, to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, all you got to do is call, and I'll be there, yeah, yeah, yeah. You got a friend. If the sky above you should turn dark and full of clouds, and that old north wind should begin to blow. Keep your head together and call my name out loud now. Soon I'll be knocking upon your door. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running. Oh yes, I will see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, yeah. All you got to do is call, and I'll be there, yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, ain't it good to know that you got a friend when people can be so cold? They'll hurt you and desert you. Well, they'll take your soul if you let them. Oh yeah, but don't you let them. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running to see you again. Oh babe, don't you know about winter, spring, summer, or fall? Hey now, all you got to do is call. Lord, I'll be there, yes I will. You got a friend. You got a friend, yeah. Ain't it good to know you got a friend? Ain't it good to know you got a friend? Oh yeah, yeah, you got a friend.
I ask Don's granddaughter Mackenzie to come forward, please, to share with us a poem chosen for today.
This poem is titled A Life Well Lived. A life well lived is a precious gift of hope and strength and grace from someone who has made our world a brighter, better place. It's filled with moments, sweet and sad, with smiles and sometimes tears, with friendships formed and good times shared and laughter through the years. A life well lived is a legacy of joy and pride and pleasure, a living, lasting memory our grateful hearts will treasure.
Thank you, Mackenzie. Thank you, Don, for your friendship and loyalty, for the good times and the difficulties that have provided the opportunity for change and transformation. Thank you for the legacy you have left, for your love and loyalty. Thank you for your care and dedication. Thank you for the kindness and compassion you showed in times of trouble. Thank you for your smile and the magic you wove into the lives of those around you. Thank you for being you. This community is a far richer place for your presence amongst us. Our love is with you wherever you are. We have our time on earth, and then it is time to leave, to say goodbye. It isn't part of the natural and normal cycle of life and death. Our lives are interconnected by our friendships, by our shared humanity. Don would want you to live life and love fully each and every moment. He is not gone from you completely, as he will live forever in your hearts. As Michelle mentioned, she has asked me to acknowledge and thank the wonderful doctors, nurses and staff from the oncology department and the nurses from GV Hospice Care who helped her to care for Don at home. Envelopes are available here for those of you who would like to donate to this wonderful organisation. And a very special thank you to all of you, whether here in person today or watching via the live stream. Michelle and the family are very grateful for your kind expressions of sympathy and support. Let Don's life and dying guide your own lives with hope, passion and a joy for living. Life is precious, as is our relationship to others. Take the time to be fully present with each other. Be gentle with yourselves. In times of heartache and grief, know that you can call upon your closest family and friends to be with you, to comfort you. May you wake up in the mornings and give yourselves permission to move forward, to feel free, to laugh again, and to love those around you. The conversations and stories that we have shared with Don will remain with us for all time. His love will always be here. He has lived, and his living touched us all in many different ways. May you remember Don for the good things he did, for the times you shared, and for the man that he was. Talk about him often. Remember the love, conversations, and fun times that you shared. It's now time to say goodbye, and I share the words of Committal with you. In grief at your death, but in gratitude for your life and for the privilege of sharing it with you, we say goodbye. To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose on earth, a time to be born and a time to die. Here in this last act, in sorrow but without fear, with love and appreciation, we commit Donald Malcolm Nicolson to his natural end, earth to end, dust to dust. His journey here on earth has ended. With love, respect and admiration, we bid him farewell. I share with you a final poem on behalf of Don's family. It's called Legacy of Love. A husband, a father, a grandpa too. This is the legacy we have from you. You taught us love and how to fight. You gave us strength. You gave us might. A stronger person would be hard to find, and in your heart you were always kind. You fought for us all in one way or another, not just as a husband, not just as a father. For all of us you gave your best. Now the time has come for you to rest. So go in peace. You've earned your sleep. Your love in our hearts will eternally keep. The love you shared with Don will always be with you. Whatever sadness you might experience through this time of change, may it move through you gently and with grace. May you call upon family and friends and the support that is within the community that surrounds you all. On behalf of Michelle, I invite you to join her and the family for afternoon tea and the opportunity to share your memories of Don at the Dookie Football Club rooms before you journey home. And I'm sure there will be a glass or two, or perhaps 3 or 4, raised in Don's honour. As we leave this place with a sense of quietness and reverence, let us hold an awareness of the spirit that connects us and the things that really matter in life. May we be aware of the love, grace and peace which are present every moment within all things. Michelle has brought some red earth from their property in Cosgrove for you to sprinkle as you say goodbye to Don, and I invite you to come forward after the family as we listen to a final song which I'm sure will bring a smile to all your faces. May peace be with you all. We've had a little bit of a technology glitch, so you can all guess what we were going to be playing. It was supposed to be the Geelong theme song. So for everyone that knows it, go.
We are Geelong, the greatest team of all. We are Geelong, we're always on the ball. We play the game as it should be played, at home or far away. Our banners fly high from dawn to dawn, down at Gardenia Park. We are Geelong, the greatest team of all. We are Geelong, we're always on the ball. We play the game as it should be played, at home or far away. Our banners fly high from dawn to dawn, down at Gardenia Park.
I'm to do what he likes. He get the hands dirty.
Not much fun getting old.
It's okay.